Well, hello again. We've had 6 days of rain around this place. We finally got a little bit of sun today, but the yard is still muddy and crappy and I don't want to go out in it. So let me tell you a little story. A couple days ago we went to a Viking village. Now when I say we, I'm talking about my grandson, his wife and daughter, and myself. We went to a Viking village about 23 miles from here. I didn't even know it existed. My grandson's the one that found it. It just opened up this year for the first time. And everybody was dressed in costumes. You know, they took like 80 acres and they made this Viking city called Dragonstone. I thought it was pretty cool. So we got there, you pay to get in, you know, and then they have all these concession stands and these shows. You have guys that, you know, fire eaters and all, just music players, and it was very good. All the people were, all the enactors, I don't know how many they had a bunch of them. They were all dressed up with shields and swords, and it was quite a time. I enjoyed it. And lots to eat, lots to do. A lot of the stuff was free, which I really enjoyed. They had a lot of other stuff you could pay for. You could throw, you know, Viking axes and at these targets. I mean, just all sorts of things. Anyway, it began to misty rain while we were there, and my granddaughter-in-law, my grandson's wife, she came around the corner. We were both pretty wet from the mist. We just sort of scattered, you know, to see different things while we were in there. And we got pretty, the wind was blowing, we got pretty cold, pretty chilly, even though it was September, you know. So I said, you know, let's find some place to get something to eat, man, get out from underneath the misty rain for a while. We wound up at a little concession stand that had soup, hot soup. I said, I told Tanya, is her name, I said, Tanya, how about some hot soup? She said, yeah, that sounds good. So they had potato soup and tomato basil. Well, when we got there, he had a sign there, you know, and when I got up to the window, they said, sorry, we're all out of potato soup. Oh, wonderful. 6 more hours to go and they're out of potato soup. So I said, well, give me some of that tomato basil. I have never had tomato basil soup. I've always been a tomato soup purist, I guess, you know. Salt and pepper, that's good enough. Well, I got a cup for her and a cup for me, and I'll tell you what, I was pleasantly surprised. That was some good tasting soup. So now I'm a believer in tomato basil soup, and that's what we're going to make today. Now, one of 3 things is going to happen. Mine's going to suck, mine's going to be about the same as theirs, or mine's going to be better. Let's see what happens. For this little experiment, I went to Walmart and picked up some smaller sized tomatoes. You know, as usual, I went on YouTube and pick and choose the things I liked from the various tomato basil soup makers, you know. And most of them had good sized tomatoes, you know, Romano or Roman, or I don't know what, plum, or I don't know, larger tomatoes, okay? And I got the medium size because I didn't know if it was going to work. And I kind of liked them because they were nice and red and they're soft and juicy and ready to go. So first thing I do is got to wash them. Then I'm going to slice each one of them in half and put them on this tray over here with the flat side up. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some olive oil all over this stuff. Then we're going to put some salt on the top. And then we're going to take a little bit of pepper. They say use fresh ground pepper. Forget that crap. It's in the jar, man. Shake it out. And then I got some thyme that I'm going to cut up in pieces and set on top of each one. Then we're going to put it in the oven, 400 degrees. Now they said for 40 minutes, but they had great big giant tomatoes, so we're going to kind of eyeball it as we go. Probably no more than 30 minutes will do the job. Alright, we're just going to pour some of that. It doesn't matter if you get a little bit all over. It doesn't matter. You want a good coating of it. You can take a brush, I suppose, and brush it on too. I'm using the cheap olive oil this time, not my Sicilian, because I'm not so sure how this soup's going to turn out. If I wind up wasting it, I'll be very upset. So we'll just go with this, okay? We got a little bit of salt. You're supposed to put quite a bit of salt on each one. Nice liberal bunch of salt, you know. Don't spare the horses, I guess, when it comes to the salt. Of course, some of you can't eat salt. I understand all that. But, you know, those of you who can, give it a good shower of salt. And now comes the pepper. I like a lot of pepper. Some people don't. I like a lot. Especially on my eggs and mashed potatoes, corn, You know, stuff like that. I really, it's just, so when I get done getting this to the amount I want, I'll be back and we'll put the time on each of the tomatoes. Alright, now we take a little bit of thyme and sprinkle it on each one. You don't have to have a whole lot. Just whatever you want, you know. Well, the old oven has hit 400 degrees. So let's take it, put it in there, and we'll just set the timer for like 20 minutes. And then we can always adjust it if it needs to be longer. When the tomatoes get done being baked, we're going to be using all this crap here to put in this Dutch oven. I haven't decided whether to use vegetable stock. There were a couple of YouTube channels that said use vegetable stock if you're a veggie. Well, I'm a vegan rather. I'm not a vegan, but that doesn't mean it doesn't taste good, you know. Others said go ahead and use chicken broth. Now take a look at this stuff. Now that looks really yummy there. I don't want my soup that thick. I'm not looking for that. I don't have to make it that thick no matter what I put in. And this here basically looks like tomato juice or tomato soup. This is really thin. So I don't know. I'm going to have to make up my mind while I'm having a cup of coffee while I'm waiting for the tomatoes to finish up. So we're going to be putting in more olive oil. We're going to put some garlic. We're going to chop an onion and put that in. And then we're going to put in some butter. Try to find fresh basil around this area. Forget it. Can't be done. You go to the grocery store like Walmart or Kroger, and their basil leaves that they have are rotten in the package. Forget it. So I looked around on the internet. So there's got to be like a basil juice or something, and like garlic juice. I was just self-reasoning here, and I came up with this stuff here, basil paste. And but I'm not going to put them all in at once. Since this is the first time I've ever done this, I'd be kind of stupid to do it. I'm probably stupid for even trying this, but I don't care. I want to give it a shot. I can at least, if it fails, I can say, well, I tried it, it sucked. I'm not going to do it again. Yeah, I'd do it again. Anyway, I'm going to put one in, try it, taste it, mix it up, let it boil for a while. And then if it's not enough, then I'll go ahead and add half and then maybe the rest of it. It's a touchy-feely thing. Well, I think the tomatoes could probably stand another 15 minutes. Now what we have to do is put a glug, quite a bit of olive oil in the bottom. This is one of these deals where you put as much as you want. Now we're going to bring it up a little bit past medium heat and wait till it starts getting hot. Then we're going to put the onions and garlic in, start stirring around. The oil's hot, so let's get our onions and our garlic in there. I'm going to turn it down a little bit here, I guess. We don't quite need it that hot. We're going to put the garlic. I'm going to put about 4 or 5 spoonfuls of garlic in there because I like a lot of garlic. Just put as much as you want. This will cook down quite a bit. We're going to cook it until they're about brown. They said 1 large onion or 2 small. I was sort of between a medium and a large. Our onions and garlic are just about brown the way I like them. You can make them any color you want really, but you want to have them a little bit brown. And in case some of you hadn't noticed, this is actually not tomato basil soup. It's roasted tomato basil soup. I suppose some of you probably picked up on that by now. Some of you probably already wrote a comment. John, it's roasted tomato. Okay, I knew that. I just forgot to tell you. Okay, she's browning up nicely. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put the basil in. Then I'm going to put the butter in, basil in, and then the tomatoes. Alright, the butter goes in, a couple of tablespoons, whatever you want. Now I'm going to, I'm not going to sit here and squeeze all this crap through that little hole underneath that cap. I'm just going to cut the bottom off and squeeze it out that way. Now here's the first one. Squeeze it on out the bottom. A whole lot simpler. Well, I haven't even squeezed the other one out, and it looks like quite a bit of basil in there. I don't know. Like I said, first time I ever made it, I'm going to have to play this by ear. Let's get the tomatoes in there. One at a time, I'm going to throw them in there. Now, if you don't have a set of these, you are missing the boat, ladies and guys. These are Korean tongs. You can flip a grain of rice with these things, and a bacon in a pan. I mean, you forget all those rubber tip Chinese pieces of crap. These were designed by the Koreans, and I'll tell you what, it's great. They don't slip. You can pick up small things with them. These people have been doing this for years over there. They know what to do. on Amazon. You can get them. I think you get like 2, 3 in a package. They're fantastic. Well, that looks pretty good so far. I like the color of that. Alright, now we're going to take the juice that's in the pan. We're going to pour that in there too. Don't waste it. Alright, now comes the, I decided to go with the chicken stock. Yes, I did. I'm not a vegan. Although it probably would have tasted good, but I wanted to go with the chicken stock. This is all experimental. You want it to be about 3 cups, I think. Which means I might have to put more of that basil in there. I don't know. It's quite a bit of juice. Looks real good so far. Now what I have to do is I have to crank up the heat and simmer it for about 40 minutes. One more thing, I almost forgot. We got some other stuff to go yet, but this one of the YouTuber guys put some Italian seasoning in his too. Well, of course, that sold me immediately. So I'm not going to put much because I don't know how much is enough. And I'm just waiting for it to come up to a nice simmer for 40 minutes. And always, I remember now, another YouTuber, he took some crushed tomatoes, put a couple of scoops. I had a can of crushed tomatoes, and he took a couple of scoops, and he added that to it also. I kind of like that. It's got a lot nicer color now. Well, all the cooking is done. As soon as it cools down a little bit, I'm going to take my immersion blender here that I bought for this special occasion. I never owned one of these before, but it's kind of neat. It's a, what kind is it? KitchenAid. I like KitchenAid stuff. If you let your thumb off the switch, it stops. Can't even hardly hear it. Nice safety factor. Alright, we are ready to turn this puppy into soup. Get a good grip on this thing here. There we go. This thing is really kind of strange. It'll suck it all the way down to the bottom of the pan and stick it to the bottom. Gotta take your time doing this, otherwise it spits it out and burns you and everything. Alright, I think it looks good, but I think it's just a little bit too thick. So what I'm going to do is add a little water to it. A little at a time. Mix it around and see if that helps it. And I'm going to keep working at that. Now you can add salt, you can add more basil, you can add anything you want to it. More salt, more pepper rather. I think I just about got it right. I think what I'm going to do is try a bowl of some crackers. See how it goes. I'm kind of hungry actually. I'm going to freeze a couple of bowls of this and put it in the refrigerator. Winter time's coming, people. I like the idea of just reaching in there, grabbing a bowl that's frozen, popping it in the microwave, and you got yourself a nice hot bowl of soup, whether it be chicken noodle soup or something like this, or chili or beef vegetable soup, whatever. I'll tell you what, this tastes exactly like it did at that Dragonstone Village. And it was very good that day. It tasted even better because I was cold. But this is really good. It's good. It really is. Not bad, it's good. And I think all I'm going to do is take a couple more spoonfuls, put it in the refrigerator, and in about a couple hours, I'm going to whip up a grilled cheese sandwich to go with it. I think that'll go perfectly. Now I got enough to last me quite a while. And that's it, folks. That's how I make it. And I can't improve on it. I think it tastes wonderful. So until next time, this is John.